Gym sessions and sweaty summer activities are back, which means more funky smells in your clothes because sweat leaves behind bacteria that causes those hard-to-remove odors. Clorox fabric sanitizer products are ready to zap the stink out of fabrics in your home by getting rid of 99.9% of odor-causing bacteria. Eliminate odors in every load or sanitize fabrics between washes with one of our fabric sanitizer products. Search fabric sanitizer at Clorox.com to learn more. When it counts, trust Clorox. Use as directed.
It's the first ever training camp back together Saturday, fueled by Gatorade on NFL Network. All 32 teams take the field.
We're back, baby. Do it together. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Get all-day coverage and access like never before.
He's a playmaker at every level.
Hit the horn! The biggest season ever is here. Training camp back together Saturday. Coverage begins at 9 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network.
Hear the voices of the streets of West Oakland, California come alive on The Lower Bottoms, a full-cast scripted podcast. You'll hear a darkly comic tale about the people of this quickly gentrifying neighborhood.
The Lower Bottoms, being a small neighborhood, often lends itself to serendipitous encounters between friends, acquaintances, and adversaries.
With an all-star cast featuring Ryan Destiny, Kelsey Grammer, and more, listen to The Lower Bottoms on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is prime time action here on VSiN and MSG Plus. I'm Jeff Parles, Adam Candy, Danielle Alvari, Ben Wilson here with you tonight. Josh Towers will be with us in 5 minutes. Let's continue the discussion. We're
taking
having
a look
last
at
segments.
Some MLB awards here. And we were just talking about the NL Cy Young and how big of a favorite Jacob deGrom is there, minus 1,400. But he's also included in the NL MVP discussion as well. So Fernando Tatis Jr., minus 160 here, the favorite. And Jacob deGrom behind him at plus 130. Trea Turner at 20-1. Max Muncy also on there at 35-1. I know that at one point, Gil Alexander was saying that he thought that deGrom deserved both of these awards based on what he's done so far.
Again, this IL stint really is throwing a wrench into everything here. Here's the problem now. Tatis, to me, is going to win this award, but I'm not interested in laying $1.60. Just because there are a lot of factors that could play in down the stretch here. What happens if the Dodgers go on a massive tear because Max Muncy goes off the last 2 months of the season? They end up winning the NL West, going away from the Giants. Max Muncy at 35-1, maybe worth a shot. It's a shame the Nationals stink because Juan Soto is just nuclear right now. At 40-1, maybe worth a shot, but team's going to finish in fourth place. He's not going to get there. So no bets for me now, just because Tatis, to me, is going to win the award. But that price is just a little steep for me at minus 160, Adam.
This, to me, of the baseball awards is the unbettable market. I have been the captain of the Jacob deGrom for MVP squad for months now. I was yelling about this on this network when it was 10-1. Plus 130 is obviously much more reasonable, and the absence now of Ronald Acuna Jr. clears this whole thing up quite a bit. That being said, if deGrom comes back and leads them to the playoffs, then sure, then plus 130 feels like just fine on him. Tatis has the lead for a reason here, but Jeff just mentioned way too much variance down the board. No great prices at the top. I'll pass on this one.
Can I ask you about these two MVP awards, too? The two frontrunners, right? So Tatis Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. Also some of the splashiest, the most attention-getting players in the MLB right now. So how big of a factor is that as well? Because, again, humans voting on this.
I think when the two guys, at least let's start with Ohtani. When you're so clearly the best player in your league.
And likable.
And by the way, again, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. It felt like for a stretch there that Shohei Ohtani legitimately was doing something that Babe Ruth and a few dudes from the 1800s were doing.
And he was doing it better.
And he was doing it better than those dudes. So For Ohtani, it just, when you're so clearly better than everyone else in a season, it's easy. Look, I'm good with the flashiness from Tatis.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
I think
it makes
great.
the game fun. And look, for a Padre team, and keep in mind, too, if the Padres somehow come back, get the number one wild card, or even hop both the Giants and the Dodgers, I don't think they hop the Dodgers. I think, if anything, the Giants come back to the pack and the Padres hop the Giants. But look, in the end, when we're talking about two players that have been, for the most part, pretty clearly the best players in the league, even the older voters who may not like some of the flashiness can't deny what the seasons for both players have been.
Think about, you talk about the Shohei Ohtani and the splash factor with him. What he has is a hook. Mm-hmm. And the hook is that he could win this award based on the hitting alone this year. And then you throw the pitching in. It's obvious. I mean, that's why the number is out double what it is on Tatis at this point. Again, there's really no way for Shohei Ohtani to lose this. Even, let's say the Angels decided this season is over, we're not going to pitch him the rest of the year. Even what he's already done on the mound is enough of an X factor on top of his hitting that he's going to win the award.
Yeah, I think the MLB wants these two guys to be their MVPs.
No question. I mean, they've made Tatis the face of the game in so many ways here over the last few months, and Shohei Ohtani is next on that list.
Well, and two, just with the NL, one of the other young studs, of course, who was right in the race was Ronald Acuna Jr., and of course, his injury knocked him out for the season. That really, if Acuna was able to stay healthy, that would be the guy to really look at. But unfortunately,
then we'd have a race.
But look, Tatis, I think, is properly priced at -160 right now to win the NL MVP at DraftKings. It is primetime action here on VSiN and MSG Plus. I'm Jeff Parles, Adam Candy, Danielle Alvari, Ben Wilson here with you tonight. And now with us, it is one of our comrades here at the network, former MLB pitcher Josh Towers. You see him on VSiN Bet Center over the weekend. Ben Wilson hosts the show with him from 6 to 9 Eastern time on Saturday and Sunday. Josh, good to have you on with us. I just want to start with this, because in the shows that you and I have hosted together, we always end up on Jacob deGrom, even if he's not pitching. Right now, he's a -1,400 favorite to win the Cy Young at DraftKings. If deGrom were to not throw another pitch again this season, has he still done enough to win that award?
Jay, there's no chance he wins the award. I'm telling you, even if he misses 10 starts, he can't win the award. I don't understand how it would be possible to give it to Jacob if he's missing 2 months, let's say, hypothetically, of the season. But, no, I mean, again, that award is a beautiful award. There's great stats, and Jacob's an amazing pitcher. But when you miss so much time and the rest of these guys play a full season, have 34 starts, let's say 30-plus starts, I don't see how you can reward somebody who didn't play a full season and didn't go through all the highs and lows. So I think those numbers are crazy skewed. I'm actually really shocked to even hear that they're even still minus for him.
Josh, then who would be the guy? Because behind him right now, Kevin Gausman of the Giants 15-1, Brandon Woodruff 17-1, Wheeler and Burns at 22-1, Walker Buehler at 25-1 right now in those Cy Young odds. Josh,
did you say Freddie Peralta?
I did not say Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta's 55-1 right now. Josh,
you might want to throw a couple bucks on Freddie. I mean, listen, like, as of right now, Jacob's got 15 starts, so he's clearly in the mix at this point. His numbers are fantastic, but he's at 92 innings. A lot of these guys are at 122 innings, let's say, for Gausman. So if Jacob continues to miss time, like, there's just too much of a lapse that he won't make up. I mean, so at this point, Gausman has had a fantastic year. Obviously, Corbin, Burns, and Woodruff. I think Woodruff would have the edge over Burns, but Freddie Peralta, in my opinion, has the edge probably over both of them. I mean, listen, this dude has 102 innings pitched, and he's given up 45 hits. That's half as much as everybody else. I think that the Cy Young Award winner, if it's not Jacob deGrom coming back and pitching enough time, I think currently at the moment it's Freddie Peralta.
Josh, on the other side in the American League, Garrett Cole has lived up to his usual standard, but of course the Yankees are barely hanging on to the fringes of the wild card race right now. If the Yankees don't end up making the playoffs, should we be looking at one of the White Sox horses?
Well, what they say about MVP, it's not the best stats, it's the most valuable player. And Cy Young, we can't really say that, right? We didn't really clarify on what it is. his strikeouts are so much higher than everybody else's, and I know that's something they factor in. But what Lance Lynn is doing, I think, has to be in consideration. I mean, you can have 40 or 50 more strikeouts than me, maybe 60, but when my ERA is over a run less, like that has to say something. So I understand Garrett Cole, but they both got 10 wins. Lance Lynn's got a 191. I mean, at this point, I'm leaning more towards Lynn, but I understand the power numbers of Cole. I don't think the playoffs have much to do with it.
Josh Towers with us right now here on Primetime Action. Of course, the former Major League pitcher. Now you hear him on our network on Saturdays and Sunday here on VSiN, 6 to 9 Eastern time on VSiN Bet Center with usually myself or Ben Wilson hosting those shows. And Josh did saying throw a little bit of a coin on Freddie Peralta at 55-1 to win the NL Cy Young. Josh, we'll keep it in the awards since these markets actually are starting to repopulate the market yet again. From the AL side of things, Ohtani's minus 310 to win the AL MVP. Vlad Jr.'s at plus 230. Everyone else is 40-1 or longer. If Ohtani makes it to the end of the season, Josh, without suffering an injury and missing time, how is he denied this award at this point?
Jeff, I don't see how he can be denied this award. I mean, if you look at their numbers, the average is coming down slightly for Vladdy. It's still a significant increase. And I know the stolen bases, we don't talk about that enough. It doesn't have enough impact. But what Shohei's doing with the bags, I mean, if he wasn't on that team, I don't know if they'd have a win. The walks are similar. The RBIs are similar. Shohei's leading in home runs, more doubles. The runs are similar. And then what he's done from a pitch. I mean, he went 7 again. He went 6 the time before. He's given up 1 run each time. Like, he's dominating on the mound. There's not even a race right now. I don't even think at this point it's even in the discussion. If Shohei Ohtani finishes the season, he walks away with this.
The race we have right now, Josh, in the National League West is about as fun as anything happening in Major League Baseball at the moment, with the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres all in contention. One of these teams is ultimately not going to end up in the playoffs, just the way that the structure is set up. What do you make of this 3-horse race that we got going on in the NL West?
It's beautiful, and I like the fact that the Padres are making moves. They've done it before. They realize what they have to do. San Francisco, I don't know if they intended on being in this race, and so moves aren't really a necessity for them because of how they're built. Again, this team leading baseball in home runs is probably the biggest shock, but everybody's doing their job, and they have a little bit of a cushion right now. I think the Dodgers, obviously people are still looking at them as a favorite, but with the amount of injuries they have, I mean, how long are we going to wait? Do they just all of a sudden they're going to go on like a 15-2 run? I think they need to be careful and start playing a little bit smarter baseball, even though they're right there. If San Diego makes a pitching move, they're going to be very dangerous. I mean, I'm super excited about this division. I mean, at this point, it looks like all 3 are going to be in. I don't think anybody from the East can catch them. Cincinnati tries to, but then they seem to fail on the bullpen side. The Central only has 1 team. I mean, to me, it looks like all 3 of these teams are making it.
Josh, you bring up the NL East and a nightly occurrence of some team in that division, and most nights multiple teams in that division having a calamity. The Mets are still in first place even with all their injuries and seemingly the lack of depth in the starting rotation. The Nats, who you liked early in the year, Josh, have gone on hard times at the wrong time right before the trade deadline and look like they'll be sellers here. If you're looking at the team to catch the Mets here, Josh, is it Philadelphia or is it Atlanta at this point?
Yeah, let's put them both in a hat and pull a name and see what comes out. Washington had that opportunity and they just faded. I mean, they lost 5 in a row now, and they're 8.5 back. That's the craziest part. This is a big series for the Mets, and Atlanta's coming in and looking really good against them. And you see, like we talked about, what the Mets have to do. They got Eichhoff pitching. His numbers in AAA were inflated. His numbers in the big leagues are inflated. They left him out there to die today, which I thought was completely unfair of that kid to let him give up 10 runs. You don't ever do that. And it just lets you know, again, what they don't have, which is what we've been talking about. The only thing, Jeff, and you and I said the other day, the only thing the Mets have going for them is the rest of this division doesn't seem to want it. That's it, because we're seeing the reality of what we knew was going to happen with the New York Mets once things got hurt. Players started missing time. They don't have anything, and they're starting to fade, and they're going to continue to fade. So Philadelphia, Atlanta, the door is wide open. I would say at this point, this series is a big series for Atlanta to go, okay, we want this more than anybody else.
In the other Eastern Division, Josh, where you spent plenty of time in your career in the American League, Red Sox and the Rays are going to have a good one here down the stretch. What do you make of that two-horse race between the Boston and Tampa squads?
I'm glad we're talking that it's a two-horse race and not a three-horse anymore. Tampa's going nowhere. Again, this is what Kevin Cash has done for a long time. This team's built for this. They're already making moves. They're one of the rare teams making moves, but they make these moves that absolutely fit what they need. They're not exciting moves to us, but very realistic to winning baseball for them. And Boston just keeps – I don't even know how to explain it. Their confidence just keeps growing. The trust in their staff and the players keeps growing. They keep getting better. I can't wait to see how this one plays out in September. I think Tampa will edge them, but Boston's going nowhere right now.
Josh, there was a trade earlier tonight. The Mariners and the Astros, the very rare in-division trade while playing each other trade that came down earlier today with the Astros getting Kendall Graveman and Rafael Montero from the M's. Joe Smith and Abraham Toro, who had been playing third base for the Astros, go the other way. What do you make of this deal, especially for Seattle, who, even though, again, horrible run differential, are sitting one game out of the playoffs entering tonight's action?
It's they got a lot of belief as well. The players are starting to buy in, which is the cool part. You start seeing the stuff that they're saying on social media and the excitement they have for each other. A lot of support for their manager as well, which is kind of cool. The move was not more for Seattle. I mean, Montero, they designated for assignment. This was somebody that had closing and high hopes for early. I don't know what happened to him, but recently he couldn't get anybody out. This was one of the big Mets projects. He was the number one prospect over Jacob deGrom and Steven Matz and all those guys. And he was doing his thing as a closer, and then it just faded. So for them to get anything for him was kind of impressive. So I don't know. I mean, I guess at this point you're not using him. You bring in another piece, and then you get Toro. It's more of a future thing for them, and they don't really know what they're doing and kind of shocked that they're in this position. So it gives them an opportunity to still have people to play. On the other side, it gives the other team pitchers that they need and depth. So I thought it was a good trade for both sides. Could be great for Montero.
Yeah, I hear you. And as we talk about these trade deadline acquisitions, take us inside the clubhouse when it comes to how players react to these things, because we're going to see some futures odds probably adjust, especially if a Max Scherzer trade or something along those lines happens. And we hear the narrative out there all the time that management is sending a message to the players that, we believe in you and you guys are going to contend here down the stretch. Is that a real thing? Are players kind of watching this time of year and saying, is the front office going to give us what we need?
Some do, some don't. It's not, we're not sitting by our phones looking at this kind of stuff. We go out there and play baseball. In this day and age, there's more social media, so you see stuff a little faster than we did, let's say, 15, 20 years ago. With that said, there's a lot of times where we come in the clubhouse after a game or come in there on our way to the field and we see somebody in there that we didn't recognize and we don't even know what happened, and we got a new teammate. So it's a little bit of both. I think there's teams and players that are realistic that moves need to be made, but there's also a belief in the clubhouse of what you have, that you're good enough already. So no one's really like anticipating or wanting a move because they believe in their teammates. But some people are realistic. But again, a lot of these moves just catch us off guard. Like, we just see somebody in the clubhouse, and then that's how we find out something happened.
No, Josh, I'm curious. That's something that I think is, we kind of make an assumption about what we might know about what goes on inside the clubhouse in that spot. So I was curious about that overall. All right, so here we are as we sit right now. It is late July. Still have the trade deadline to come. Who is going to the World Series on both sides here?
Oh, man, at this point, it's probably Houston or Tampa. I'm going to favor Tampa again. Kind of crazy to say. I just think some of the other teams are going to have a little bit tougher ride in the postseason. I think Tampa's built for it, like always with their pitching. And on the other side, it's going to come out of the West. I wouldn't be surprised to see a repeat of next year, to be honest with you, but I would like to see San Francisco or San Diego, but I think it's going to be Tampa and somebody out of the West in the NL.
He's Josh Towers. You can find him on this network every Saturday and Sunday from 6 to 9 Eastern time as one of the hosts of VSiN Bet Center. And you can find him on the tweets as well at No Don't Josh. Of course, former Major League pitcher, as Adam said, a lot of time in the AL East for Josh Towers with the Rays, with the Blue Jays, with the Yankees, and, of course, with Colorado in the NL as well. Josh, always a pleasure to catch up, buddy. We'll talk again soon.
I'll see you soon. I'll see you this weekend, buddy.
Absolutely. Always good to talk to our guy, Josh Towers. By the way, while Josh was on, Adam, the Braves hit another home run. It's 12-3 Atlanta. It's only in the 6th inning at Citi Field.
Yeah. Remember when we were talking about this game and looking at some of the live totals and thinking, wow, are they really going to get there? Well, yeah. That's it's definitely trending that direction. Yankees, by the way, Gio Urshela with a 2-run double, and New York now up 3-0 on Tampa and up 3 runs. That means Tampa's got the Yankees right where they want them getting into that bullpen.
I want to bring Ben Wilson in here real quick because the Brewers got out to an 8-0 lead in the 2nd inning. This game is now in the 7th inning. And Ben Wilson, the score has not moved. We're heading towards a cataclysmic total beat potentially in Pittsburgh.
I said off the air, Brewers, by the way, had runners at the corners, 1 out in the 2nd inning, up 8-0, total of 9. Ground into a double play with this replacement pitcher, Oviedo, after we mentioned the last-second trade here, robs the Pirates of basically their one competent starting pitcher that was going to go. But Cody Potts has come in, who is a former Brewers draft pick, and he's basically been the guy. Like he's thrown like 80 pitches already, 4 shutout innings for Pittsburgh here, allowing just 2 hits. And the Brewers, they clearly are. They're content. They're packing it in right now. They've got an 8-0 lead. The surprising thing too, Brett Anderson, who's by far the worst pitcher on the Brewers staff, 6 shutout innings, scatters 3 hits, and now they're throwing in their worst relievers. So, even Miguel Sanchez throws a scoreless inning. So, yeah, that's on track for a rough beat if we get there, Jeff.
Adam Candy said the Rays had the Yankees right where they wanted them, and you shall receive right away. Brandon Lau, a 2-run homer, and it's 3-2 New York, just like that.
23rd home run on the season for Brandon Lau, despite the very low average that he's had. It's as though I've watched an entire season of this Yankees team and knew that this is just about the spot for Tampa to come around. Chad Green has certainly hit the skids for New York over the last week.
When we get back here on Primetime Action, there's more baseball going on. The scoring is slowed in Philadelphia. It is not slowed at all on the north side of Chicago. Also, a redux of last week. The Giants and the Dodgers back at it. Look at that game that's starting in about 45 minutes from now. Next, here on Primetime Action on VSiN and MSG+.
Good afternoon. Would you like to try a free sample of our double fudge brownie?
Oh, sure. That's very good. I'll just take one more, just to be sure. Yep, still very good.
Some things never change, like never being able to take just one free sample. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Is that macadamia nut I taste? Let me take one more.
Sir?
Yeah, I thought so.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This is Miami's own DJ EFN, co-host of the Drink Champs podcast on the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Every week, Nori and I sit down with the most legendary artists, producers, and icons in the music industry and the culture at large. So if you like to hear some legendary stories, learn some hip-hop history, or just want to have a good laugh, make sure you go to subscribe to Drink Champs on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. It's hit movies, current shows, live sports, trending bits, and timeless hits. And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Law & Order SVU streaming now.
It is primetime action here on VSiN and MSG Plus. I'm Jeff Parles, Adam Candy, Danielle Alvari, Ben Wilson here with you. And a lot of Major League Baseball action going on right now. And Adam, you gave out some really good advice on the Reds and the Cubs game earlier. You said play Cincinnati Reds players to hit homers. Joey Votto, Jesse Winker coming through immediately as the Reds lead 4-2 now in the bottom of the fourth at Wrigley.
Winker plus 330 to homer today. Joey Votto plus 390. It's the second straight day for Joey Votto, 3 in a pair of days. Yesterday, it was based for me on the handicap of him against Kyle Hendricks. Today, it was all about Adbert Alzolay, the starter for the Cubs, who gives up a lot of home runs. And the Reds at Wrigley have made him pay 4-2 Cincinnati in the fourth.
The other games going on right now, the Cardinals have grabbed the lead in Cleveland. They lead 3-2. As that is in the eighth inning now. The bottom of the barrel bowl in Arlington, the Diamondbacks leading the Rangers 2-0. Arizona a minus 235 favorite in game. That's one of those where, again, if you're betting on the Rangers tonight, guys, they've lost 12 in a row. They legitimately have had a lead in one of the 12 games in this stretch. It's kind of one of those, if you're laying $1.45 with the Rangers, it's like, well, if it gets there, I can't really even feel that good about myself. And the fact that they're losing right now, Adam, it makes it feel even worse if you laid it with Texas tonight.
1 strikeout in 4 innings for Dane Dunning. That's all I have to add to this.
Let's go to some late games. Danielle, you have a few plays on one of the late games tonight, and a pretty good one down in San Diego tonight.
Yeah.
And you have 2 plays there and then 1 in Seattle.
Yeah, so A's and Padres, yes, run first inning there. I also have the A's to win the first 5 innings there over the Padres, and then another yes run first inning as well with the Astros and Mariners game. Again, that came home for me yesterday very nicely. The Astros scored 6 runs in the first inning, so hoping that they can do that for me again. I don't need 6, to be fair. I won't be greedy.
Right now, the pitching matchups for those games, Kasprillian and Paddock in San Diego, McCullers and Flexen. Again, we've mentioned Chris Flexen last week as a big fade. I like your first inning bets, and I also like that first 5 play on Oakland as well. I'm going to probably tail the Oakland play, actually.
And also, if you have not tuned into what James Kasprillian's been doing for the A's, it's about time. 70 innings roughly of an ERA around 2.8, 2.9, the whip down low as well. He was the key piece of the Yankees trade for Sonny Gray a few years ago, underwent Tommy John surgery soon after that, has come all the way back here, and that's another good piece for the A's in that rotation. I mean, they've had bad luck with A.J. Puck and Jesus Luzardo, and they still are getting great performances from guys like Minaya and Kasprillian. Good job by the A's front office to rebuild that rotation.
2 other games that are going later tonight. Let's start with the better of the 2, a 6:45 start. Local time in San Francisco, 9:45 Eastern. Julio Urias, Logan Webb, your pitching matchup. The Giants getting bet as this game gets closer. A plus 110 consensus now on the Giants with a total of 8.5, Adam. And again, we saw this series last week. The Giants won 3 out of 4 at Dodger Stadium.
If I'm anywhere on this, I'm on the under. This game being played at one of the more difficult parks in all of Major League Baseball to send the ball out. You've got 2 starting pitchers who not only have been good, but have been good lately. Urias has really rebounded from a tough early part of the month of July. And overall here, Jeff, I don't know how you could be on any other side than that. I don't know how you play an over in this game with the Dodgers, the Giants, 2 good pitchers in a pitcher-friendly ballpark.
Do we go a first 5 under and watch it go down in the first inning again like last week, Adam?
Again, you brought up the best point about all of that, Jeff, which is not that we lost very quickly on that first 5. It's that if you had the full game under and lost it on 4 runs in the top of the 9th inning, that's where you really got worked.
Look, that was the losing the full game under on that Monday night game last week between these two teams was significantly worse than what we had last week, which was, we have under 4 first 5, and there's 5 in the first inning. All right, at least we can go on with our nights. We don't have to watch this anymore.
To see here. By the way, Chad Green does get out of that inning for the Yankees. We're into the 7th there. Tampa with a 3-2 deficit against New York.
The other game on the East Coast that's still close right now, the Nats and the Phillies. There haven't been any runs since the 5th inning. The Nats lead that 6-4. That pregame total was 11, so you're still sweating out that total. The Nats behind Eric Fetty plus 113 in that one. When we get back, go ahead.
No, I'll make the point when we get back. We have time later. It's okay. Hang out with us.
That's a tease right there. Adam Candy has an important point to make, along with NBA draft props. That's next here on Primetime Action on VSiN and MSG Plus.
The VSiN football betting guides are coming soon, and there's no better way to prepare for the college and pro football seasons. Our experts provide profiles of every team with advanced stats and power ratings, plus best bets on season win totals, division finishes, and player awards. Each guide is only $20, and discounts are available when you buy both. Now is the time to reserve your copy or sign up for VSiN All Access and get everything we offer for the entire football season. Sign up now at vsin.com/subscribe. Jeff?
Adam Candy had a very important point that we have to get to right out of the break here.
I'm not sure it was very important. I'm just saying that I haven't seen a Washington-Philly game with a team less interested in actually winning since Sunday Night Football in Week 17.
We waited 3 minutes for that, everybody.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
Danielle, let's go to some NBA draft props here.
So this is kind of like a head-to-head, if you will. First to be drafted. So you have one player versus another player to see who will be drafted ahead of the other. So Cameron Thomas versus Jaden Springer. So LSU guard Cameron Thomas versus Tennessee guard here, Jaden Springer. Thomas the favorite at -145 and Springer at +115. Adam Candy, what do you think here?
So I think long term, Cam Thomas is probably going to have the more productive, longer NBA career. That skill set of his ability to score plays everywhere. But the value on Jaden Springer at +115 is kind of hard to ignore for a kid who's just kind of scratching the surface, is a year younger than Cam Thomas. And when I start to look at these matchups and I start to look and say, in today's drafting world, what do I want if I think guys are fairly close to even? I want the younger guy because teams are going to look at this as the ability to mold that player and potentially have him longer, at a more reasonable price with younger and more development to be had.
And speaking of reasonable price, you also, as a bettor, I like a little +115, a little bit more than a juiced -145. So if it's a toss-up.
I just want to hop in real quick here for this. The age for these guys, I don't think makes that much of a difference because we're talking about a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old. So we're still talking about guys who are really, really, really young, and also people who Adam Candy can't believe of how young they are after he couldn't believe how young all of us were last night. But if you're just going off the better player, Cam Thomas is a better player to me at the NBA level than Springer. It's just a matter of, again, the New Orleans Pelicans have a whole bunch of picks early enough in this draft, and it wouldn't shock me if they do a whole bunch of things that don't make a whole lot of sense. So that would be the only way I would see Springer gets home over Thomas on this one, Danielle.
All right, what about this next one here? So Isaiah Jackson from Kentucky at -115, or Zaire Williams from Stanford, also -115. So no value necessarily on one side or the other here.
This is a one between two prospects that I'm not really a huge fan of either of these guys, in all honesty, Danielle. I think Williams probably has a little more raw ability than Jackson.
It's got the measurables,
So
right?
I would look to Williams. The other mock drafts that I've been looking at have Williams going in the early 20s, Jackson mid to late 20s, maybe even dipping into round 2. So I would lean to the Stanford product of Zaire Williams here.
Keep in mind, teams also love when they feel like they've got something that the other teams don't know about. And Zaire Williams spent so long off the court this year that he has a little bit of that mystery factor to him. Also, give me the wing versus the big.
Well, another Zaire Williams one up here as well. He's the heavy favorite against Sharif Cooper here from Auburn. So Zaire Williams at -155 and Sharif Cooper at +125. What about this matchup?
So the big issue for Cooper is just, is he big enough to play point guard in the NBA? I think he is. I mean, just look at what Auburn was with him on the court and what they were without him. They were terrible without him. They were a legitimate NCAA tournament caliber team with him in. And look, even though he's 6'3", I don't think that's overly short to play in the league, in all honesty, Danielle.
You'd be surprised.
I would, if I were drafting, I would be looking to take Cooper in the late teens. More than likely, he falls to the mid-20s. And again, I think Williams is going to go in the early 20s. So, again, this is one of those where you have to put your thoughts of the prospects aside and go with what the teams are going to do. So, again, I'm not a fan of laying $1.55 on Williams, but I do expect him to go in front of Sharif Cooper, Adam.
Yeah, I'll pass on that prop entirely based on the prices. If I'm going to play Zaire Williams, I'm going to play him against Isaiah Jackson at the -115.
So the other one up here also, Jalen Johnson from Duke. And then Kai Jones, born in the Bahamas, played at Texas, -105. So Jalen Johnson, just a slight favorite here, getting a little bit more of the money perhaps.
So I love Kai Jones. I think he's, again, all those guys on Texas last year were really intriguing to me because they're all long, they're all lanky, and of course they managed to lose to Abilene Christian, a team they never should have lost to in the NCAA tournament.
Much to my benefit, might I add.
You benefited. I did not that night on that one. Look, I would lean here going to Jalen Johnson. Again, I think a lot of, again, the raw talent always seems to catch NBA teams' eyes. And we obviously saw Johnson step away midseason from Duke. So, look, I would lean to Johnson at -125. But, again, I think it's kind of like with Adam with the last prop. I'm not a huge fan of this price here on Johnson at -125. I'd like a little bit better on him.
Most of the consensus rankings I've seen actually have Kai Jones and Jalen Johnson pretty close. And the one piece that I would factor into this, Jeff, is what you just mentioned. There's going to be weight, whether you think it's right or not, there's going to be weight given to the fact that, and I'll put this in air quotes, that Jalen Johnson quit on his team midseason, right? And front offices are going to see that, and there are going to be varying opinions on what the guy did. And this is not like someone didn't play in a bowl game in order to protect his legs. This was, he saw that Duke wasn't going anywhere, and he bailed on them. And I do wonder if that's going to have some effect on Jalen Johnson's draft stock. Again, I mean, all money is good money. If the guy is, if the guy is talented and available, then some team might pull the trigger. But for the purpose of what we have here, I actually don't mind Kai Jones at a slightly better price.
So maybe the best value on the board there that we talked about.
I mean, at -105.
Is that your favorite one on the board there?
My favorite one on the board actually is Zaire Williams at -115 against Isaiah Jackson. Jeff, what do you have in terms of favorite here?
That would be mine as well. Again, the Cameron Thomas, Jaden Springer one stands out to me because I think Cameron Thomas he's just a bucket getter. He's going to be able to score at the NBA level. Again, New Orleans in this draft, and it kind of goes back to that Kispert prop earlier, they scare me. Because,
what are they going to do?
Because they seem to like prospects that I don't really like. Yeah. So I'm a little bit worried about that one. But the Williams over Jackson, I just, if you lose that one, that would be a surprise to me. So that would be the one I'd go with.
Yeah.
Well, we get back here on Primetime Action. We'll update you on what's going on in Major League Baseball. And we'll get some more important takes from Adam Candy. That's next here on VSiN and MSG Plus on Primetime Action.
Hi, I'm Ethan Nadelman, host of the new podcast Psychoactive. I founded the Drug Policy Alliance, which has been at the forefront of the effort to legalize marijuana and end the broader war on drugs. But what's next? What's the future of drugs? On Psychoactive, I'll be talking with scientists and politicians, celebrities and activists about all things drugs.
Why do we have receptors in our brain that fit molecules made by poppy plants?
You know, I think ecstasy saved my marriage. Drugs are something I recommend to long-term couples.
We had to adopt this idea that there's this disease called alcoholism.
No matter how many drugs this particular person was selling, you shouldn't be able to kick someone's door down and then murder them.
Psychoactive is out now. Listen to Psychoactive on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The coronavirus vaccines were produced in record time, but they're not slapdash overnight inventions. They're a culmination of centuries of research and advances. To figure out how they began, you have to probe history, myths, and legends.
1,000 years ago, the son of a local governor got very sick from smallpox.
This sickness, as caused by inoculation, is not unto death.
My name is Sean Raviv. I'm a journalist, and I'm hosting a podcast called Long Shot, the 250-year journey to the COVID-19 vaccines. We'll learn about the incentives, experiments, and accidents that drove vaccine development, and we'll meet some of the great minds behind the global effort to get us out of this pandemic.
Yeah, I think it might be the defining point of my career. I think I'll always be remembered for this, but I mean, I wish I wasn't. I wish it never happened.
Listen to Long Shot, starting on August 4th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Death and Life of Kobe Bryant is a limited series podcast that looks back at the investigation of the crash a year ago that killed the basketball superstar, his daughter, and 7 others.
LA County Fire, 83.
Helicopter crashed into a mountain. We heard it, and now I'm looking at the flames.
The Death and Life of Kobe Bryant takes a different look at one of the biggest tragedies of 2020.
NBA star Kobe Bryant was on board that helicopter.
Kobe Bryant died earlier this afternoon in Los Angeles in a helicopter crash. News reports are just coming in.
The Death and Life of Kobe Bryant includes exclusive content and a look at the legacy number 24 leaves behind.
He never wanted to rest on the laurels of, hey, I'm just a sports star. Anything that he was going to put his name to, anything he was going to help with, he and Vanessa were going to give it their all.
Listen to The Death and Life of Kobe Bryant on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sign up for the DraftKings Sportsbook now and get a deposit bonus up to $1,000. Simply download the app and sign up using promo code VSIN to get started with the only top-rated sportsbook that matters, DraftKings. You can bet on it. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions. Jeff.
I'm going to tell you right now, the Pirates and the Brewers are not going to be getting a fruit basket from people that bet the over in that game very soon here. And I got to give Ben Wilson credit for being all over this. And I don't know if
right away in the second inning,
right away.
I said it.
Yeah, Brewers had 8 with 1 out in the top of the second inning. It was 8-0. Total was 9. And since then, no one has scored. There are 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. And that what looked like a shoo-in with the over 9 is now looking like an even money under maybe coming in here, Adam Candy.
That is, it's pretty brutal. The Pirates are doing what the Pirates do. Speaking of our handicaps, though, let's talk about something we did a little bit better. Eugenio Suarez just hit a home run for the Cincinnati Reds. Add another to the list of Reds who have homered tonight against the Chicago Cubs. This is not Alzolay, actually. We're into the bullpen here. 5-2 lead for Cincy.
Oh, man. This is a good one for people that believe that actually people can can change the tide or jinx things. Rowdy Tellez just homered in Pittsburgh. So
10 seconds after your statement, Jeff. Rowdy Tellez.
Rowdy Tellez.
Third homer in the last week, by the way.
Rowdy Tellez, the hero to make sure that overbettors at least get their money back.
Rowdy Tellez is a large gentleman, and yet Daniel Vogelbach makes him look like he's a spokesman for Subway. It's impressive.
Man, that's another one of the Milwaukee reclamation projects of finding hitters who were hitting under 200 that apparently have a lot of power. And Tellez have been pretty solid for the Brewers, actually, so far.
Long history of slugging first basemen in Milwaukee who are overweight. Everyone's going to think of Prince Fielder, but Matt Stairs, great legendary figure.
Wow.
I mean, and even the guys that aren't overweight, like Russell Branyan, Russell the Muscle, like they've had guys over the years.
Or just really tall. I mean, you can't forget Richie Sexton there, too. I mean, there's a lot of that going through.
It's very helpful to everybody out there. Three guys sitting around naming old baseball players.
Hey, there was a tweet about that like a week ago. The resounding response was, yes, people actually enjoy that.
Yeah, all right. I'll do it all night with you guys if you want. Because as we've talked about, I'm old. I know more of them.
The only people who enjoy it are the people doing it, just to be clear.
Oh, well, come on.
I think you know.
That tweet got
best tweet of 2021.
One of the most impressed on tweets of the month of July on the Twitterverse there. Let's go to action. It actually is happening tonight right now. The Phillies have the tying run at the dish with Didi Gregorius up against Finnegan of the Nats, 6-4. That game's been stuck on 6-4 since the end of 5 there in Philadelphia, Adam. Again, another one of those totals that looked like it was pretty good on the over, still needing another run to at least get the push of the pre-flop 11.
Phillies did a really good job to battle back into this game, but they have not been able to get over the hump quite yet. Brendan Finnegan, who I think has been in the league for about 20 years now, another one of those guys. Orioles trying to make a little bit of noise, by the way, as well in the general DMV vicinity there. 7-3 lead for Miami, but the O's have 2 on with 1 down the bottom of the 8th.
You want to take a shot on Baltimore at 9-1, Adam Candy?
Oh goodness, no. Oh no. I clearly have shown this week that I have money to burn, but not quite that much.
We'll go to St. Pete here. The Rays and the Yankees. Yankees leading 3-2 as they play in the top of the 8th. Yankees minus 370 live, total 6.5. And Adam plus 260 on the take back on Tampa if you want to take a shot on the homestanding Rays to come from behind here.
All right, so if you're thinking about playing on the Rays to come from behind here, I want to make sure I have the most updated stats to give you on this. And they're going to say to you, go ahead and play the Rays, because over the last 30 days for Aroldis Chapman, 6.1 innings, an ERA of 11.37, and a whip of 2.21. And Aaron Boone seems hell-bent on continuing to use him in the closer role. So that says to me that if you can give me $2 plus on the Rays, why not?
Are those numbers bad for Chapman there, Adam? You don't want to whip over 2?
No, just so you know, it is for pitchers a little like golf. You do want the lower numbers, yes.
Again, it hasn't been just Chapman, too. It's been that entire bullpen that was supposed to be a strength for this Yankee club coming in. And again, the Yankees have had a season from hell so far this year, to put it nicely, Adam.
No, I mean, look, you look across that bullpen. Chad Green's already given up a 2-run home run tonight. Jonathan Loaizaga was awful up in Boston. They hung him out there to dry. And while we know that Britton's got talent, he really has not been able to stay healthy and perform for them this year.
Danielle, did you have the yes in the first inning in Anaheim tonight with the Rockies and the Angels, or no?
I did not.
That was the one. That was the one late one for first day.
Yeah, Shohei got that for me yesterday, but I did not go back to the well tonight for that one.
The main reason I bring that up, Colorado's already scored twice in the first inning to take a 2-0 lead on the Angels.
Yeah, I believe it.
The late games for Danielle's yes in the first inning. The Astros and the Mariners and the Athletics and the Padres, neither of those games have started so far. I was ragging on the Rangers before, and This has been a good night for the opposite of what I was saying happening, except for the one bet that actually came home. The Rangers just scored 5 in the 5th inning. So if you had Diamondback first 5 tickets, just another calamity yet again for baseball's worst, Adam Candy.
Oh, let's have a frank discussion though. If you had a Diamondbacks first 5 ticket, what were you doing in the first place? Are you okay?
How did you end up here?
Do you need to talk to us? We'll be here at the studio for a couple minutes after the show. If you can make it down here, if you want to chat about the fact that you're playing Diamondbacks first 5, even against the Rangers. And again, that I also am speaking as someone who's a little scarred by playing anything involving the Rangers of late. By the way, Dane Dunning goes 5 innings with 1 strikeout in this game. So that's a new low for the season.
You set his season on the wrong course, Adam. It was that bet, and you ruined Dane Dunning's season here in 2021.
By the way, the big blow, I did. The big blow for the Rangers, Joey Gallo's 25th home run of the season. Joey Gallo is another one of those guys who's probably going to move at the deadline, and if he does, it's a difference maker because, yes, he hits 223, but Joey Gallo is also one of the best defensive outfielders in baseball. He could be a sneaky big acquisition here over the next couple of days.
Gallo, one of the league's best in outfield assists so far this year. A great arm out in right field, and look, I don't care that he hits 220. You get a guy who can hit 15 homers in 2 months and pop you over the top in an American League or in a National League race. Gallo is worth it. And also, too, you have control next year as well, Adam.
Without question, the Bishop Gorman product from right here in Las Vegas has been outstanding. And, I look at this Yankees team as we talk to our MSG Plus audience and say, if you did not have Giancarlo Stanton beginning to embalm in the DH spot, then you would look at the Yankees and say it's a perfect fit for them with that right field porch. But I don't think they can work him in.
No, it's the albatross of the Stanton contract. I mean, you could play Gallo in left field, I guess you technically did. Someone just went yard for the Yankees. I think that might have been
Ryan Lamar for the Yankees. Get a closer look here.
It is Ryan Lamar.
It is Ryan Lamar, one of the many outfielders the Yankees have used with the injuries that they've had. They now go up 4-2. That comes off Jeffrey Springs.
I'll be completely honest with you, Adam. I did not realize who Mr. Lamar was until he did something positive in that Red Sox series. So good for Mr. Lamar. Ryan Lamar, a solo homer, 4-2, Yankees in front. We haven't mentioned this game at all. The White Sox and the Royals in Kansas City. The White Sox, after not playing particularly well in Milwaukee, they were able to salvage Sunday night behind a great pitching performance from Lance Lynn in a 3-1 win. Lost the first game in Kansas City yesterday, and now trailing 3-1 as they play in the 7th inning. My guy Dylan Cease yet again managing to escape problems through 6 innings, but the Royals leading 3-1 right now live. You can get Chicago at 4-1 to win this thing and come from behind against the Royals.
Not that the White Sox need any help in the Central, but just as you're going to handicap them in their AL odds to get to the World Series, this is a nice thing to see for Dylan Cease to go 6 innings, 2 earned, 6 strikeouts, because you know what you're getting from the top 3 in that rotation. You do want to see some depth for that White Sox team as they potentially start looking at 5-7 game series down the road.
The White Sox, again, they're going to win the AL Central. It's just a matter of by how many games and how long do they have to just get everything in order down those last 2 weeks of the regular season.
Well, you mentioned getting it in order. Eloy Jimenez comes back after that horrific shoulder injury he suffered in spring training. And the White Sox are going to have the benefit down the stretch here of being able to rest their starters, and I mean starting pitchers, and line them up exactly how they want them to make sure they're ready to go in. And look, Rodon, and then you have Lance Lynn, and then Giolito. I mean, realistically, Lucas Giolito, who was their ace last year, is their 3rd best pitcher at the moment. If you start to add the offense back in for the White Sox, if you can get that offense right in Chicago, then I think they are the primary threat to the Astros in the AL.
There's something still with that team, and I don't know if it has to do with the fact that Tony La Russa is managing that team. And again, front line, Carlos Rodon at some point, I know the numbers don't speak regress, Adam, But it is a guy who's pitched completely over his head from what we've seen previously in his career this year.
But he's also a guy who had pedigree, right? Like, this is a guy who we knew
first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who was picked at the top of the first round. We've seen guys who take a while to bloom. He rebuilt his mechanics coming off the shoulder injury that he had. So, I believe it with Rodon. I do believe that this is real.
Fun program as always, guys. Always enjoy being on here on Primetime Action. For Danielle Alvari, for Adam Candy, for Ben Wilson. This is all the time we have here on Primetime Action. We're back tomorrow for the audience. 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. For us, the nightcap is next here on VSiN. Good luck on your bets, everyone.
Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases, like a 20-foot feather boa. And do you know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot feather boa?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident. And you start calling everyone Ace. And you're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
iHeartRadio presents.
As far as we can tell, the earthquake somehow raised a new landmass out here.
Aftershock, starring Sarah Wayne Kelly.
I gotta get out there. She's out there on that island.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
There are corpses all over the Southland.
And David Harbour.
I did my job, Cassie. This is what I do. They were gonna hurt you and I stopped them.
Aftershock. Listen and follow on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Beware, the monster you're running from might be yourself. Introducing Mordeo, a new fiction thriller podcast from the creative minds of Blumhouse and Crypt TV. 1 month after two brothers disappear in the Shenandoah forest, the lone survivor of the pair emerges, starving, disoriented, and traumatized.
This is what I am. This is what I'll become.
Listen to Mordeo on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.